Alright, in this tutorial here, we're going to build a calculator, a special calculator, and store it on a web page, or it can be accessed anywhere. You could store it locally on your hard drive, or if you're on your cell phone, you can store it locally there too. But we're just going to get into constructing a basic calculator. Okay, so this is just for starters here. So this is going to be the goal. This is what we're going to want to do. Why are we doing this? Well, there's times when I'm out somewhere and I want to get a calculation done and I don't want to have to write the whole formula out or even have to remember the formula. So this makes it just a whole lot easier. Now you could go out and spend $100 on a TI-85 calculator and learn how to program BASIC and go that route. And then you got to carry a calculator around, but it's, everybody's carrying phones around, so here we go. All right, so this is going to actually be simpler than you think if you've never done this before. Okay, so we're going to start off with something real simple. Then we'll eventually graduate up to something much more difficult. So let's say we were going 5 miles an hour. We traveled for 8 hours, and therefore we. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to construct a table. But I guess before we even get to that, I talked about where we're going to host this thing. Well, I figured out how to host it, my web page on Blogger, and that's what we're going to do. Okay, so just go to blogger.com, and when you get to this point here, all right, you'll need to go down and create a blog, which there should be a button here that says New Blog. And then just put in a title, find an address for yourself. I was able to find JavaScript Calculator. Nobody took it. Can you imagine that? Okay. So once you get to that point, then what you'll want to do is just come down here and hit Edit HTML. Now you're going to have a lot of nasty stuff in here. All you need to do is just hit Control A and then hit backspace to delete all that stuff, or delete, however you want to do it, right, to delete it. And what you'll do then is you'll just paste in the code that I give you. Now there's going to be some bare bones code, nothing in there, that'll be posted underneath the YouTube video in there somewhere, and you can just copy and paste that inside here. But make sure you delete whatever's in this box out. Okay, so you want to make sure you do that. Now, what does that code actually look like? Actually, let's go back here real quick, and I want to go to this page here. Okay, so step one, we're going to make a Blogger account. All right, delete all the code that's in there. Then what we're going to do is we're going to write some HTML code. We're going to kind of dress it up, give it some color. Then we're going to do the magic stuff, which is the JavaScript. This is where the calculation is going to take place. And then we'll test that code on the Blogger web page. And actually, I think it'll be like Blogspot. It takes you to Blogspot or something like that. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is create a table where we can put all this stuff in. So you can see here this table, we're going to have a row for our formula, a row for a text box, right? Actually, it's going to be, let me go ahead and refresh this. Okay, so we're going to have 5 rows, it looks to me like. We're going to have 5 rows, all right? And then, of course, we've got blue, red, and black, and that's going to come from inside a style tag that we'll get to after we construct the table. All right, so let's get busy. Like I said, this is real simple stuff. So this is the bare bones code right here. Okay, this is what we're going to start with. That will replace all that code that's inside that text box on your Blogger page. Okay, and inside, we're going to start right here inside the body. This is where we're going to create. We're going to create a table. Whoops, what happened? What in the world just happened? Okay, let me see what's going on here real quick. Always got to be something. Okay, so table, All right. And okay, so inside this table we had some rows. Our first row, our table row. Now I'm just going to copy and paste this to try to save up some time here. Okay. This was the first row right here. Distance is equal to rate times time. This is in an entity in hexadecimal. You can find those at w3schools.com. Okay. Now we had another row. And that next row was the text row. So let's go ahead and I'll go ahead and just copy and paste that. Okay, so we had another row. This was our input text, and we were going to put in the rate. Okay, so this is kind of like a variable here. It says it's an ID, but it's going to be stored as a variable. This placeholder, this is where the rate appears, the word rate appears. All right. And then we had a row for time. So let's go ahead and get that. Okay. Having some problems here. Oh my gosh. Okay, there's a row for time. And now we need a row for distance. Rate times time is distance. So we needed a row for distance. Okay, and I think the last one was a button. And when we click the button, it's going to call the function, it's going to do the calculation, and then it's going to store that in the my distance text box. All right. So there we go. Best thing to do now is to save this, hit Control S, and then take a look at it. So that's what we're going to actually do. Okay, that's all right. I believe that's actually, so it shouldn't do anything. We type in 6 times 7. Okay, okay, it might be stored. Let's take a look here. What's going on? All right, what's the name of this? Oh, example program HTML. Okay, let's take a look at where I have that stored on my desktop somewhere. Temp. Oh, right here. Okay, so as you can see here, it doesn't have any color, right? So we need some. We're going to need some color. Something. Okay, so we need to add some style to that. So let's do that. Add some style, we call it. And up here in the head is where we'll put that. Let's see. Let's put it about right here. Okay, so we create some style tags. Alright, so wherever there's a table tag, now I'm not getting fancy with this, okay, this is just the bare bones stuff. Anywhere where there's a table tag, and normally it'd be written something like this. Alright, this is going to be applied to the table tag, anything inside that table tag. So we have a border, 3 pixels, solid, black. The background is blue, and the color, that would be the text inside. Let's go ahead and save that. All right, and let's take a look at it and make sure actually that I had that smaller there. Is that the example program? Okay, so you see it's not doing anything, right? When we click on the calculate, because when this is called, it doesn't know. There's no function. So now let's go down here inside the script tags and write a function. We'll call it f. This is where everything's going to take place, all right, for the calculations. Okay, so we're going to need a variable to store what was in that first text box at the top. All right, and we just call that variable rate. This is what's in the text box, and this is being sent, okay, to rate. Now we're going to need one for time. Need a variable for time. Of course, we're just copy and pasting to save some time. Okay, so this is what's in the text box, right? The time text box. It's going to be stored in time. Now we got to do the calculations. So variable, I'll go ahead and do this one. Distance is equal to rate times time. Make sure we end that with semicolon. Now what we'll need to do is take that distance now and send it to the text box that was labeled distance. All right. Okay, so distance is now being sent into the text box that's labeled my distance. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at that now. So we'll come up here, refresh the page. Okay, let's say we're going 65 miles per hour, or you can, whatever, kilometers per hour, and we traveled for 3 hours. We went a distance of 195 miles. You get fancy and put miles on here. You could put your units in here if you want, however you want to do that. Okay, so that looks like that's going to work. What we'll want to do now is, let's go back. Okay, whatever's in here, let's delete it out. Okay, let's go back now and copy paste. So Control A, Control C. All right, and let's just copy that in here and hope nothing happens. Now what'll happen is if there's any kind of mistake, it'll pop up right here. You got problems. All right, syntax error, whatever. Let's view blog. All right, what you'll want to do here is let's just go ahead and zoom in. Okay, let's zoom in. So we went 65 miles per hour, and let's say 3 hours, 195. All right, so that's going to get you started. We're going to be writing some really specialized calculations, some formulas, and this is just an easy way of doing it instead of having to go out and buying a fancy calculator. All right. So you can either store it here at Blogspot, store it locally on your computer. Just make sure you put .html at the end of the extension, and there's a way to store HTML files on most cell phones. I remember I was able to do it at one time, but that's not what this tutorial is about. Okay, just about getting a simple calculator up and running, and then we're going to really be getting into some really good ones later on. Okay, so that pretty much ends this tutorial, and and I'll see you over here.